Okay, so welcome to our third career coffee chat for our educators and faculty and staff partners. We're excited to share some resources today with you on self-assessment and all things related to having some time for students to get to know themselves a little bit better so that they can make sound decisions for career and major exploration. I'm Anita Manuel. I'm the Associate Director for Career Education, and I'll be one of your co-hosts today for this webinar. And I'm joined by my colleague, Carrie McKnight, who is our Career Counselor for graduate students. Say hi, Carrie. There she is. So we just wanted to start for a time to reflect a little bit because I think one of the main concerns that we have with our students is that their lives are so busy, just like our lives are so busy, that they rarely have time to actually sit down and think and process some of these questions. So figuring out who you are, what you want to do with your life, how different experiences you have thus far might influence those decisions. Those are kind of big questions to think about. So ideally, if we could be somewhere reflecting, this is where I would probably want to reflect, but unfortunately we're in our homes right now, so we'll reflect at home, but try to put yourself in this kind of situation and just take a minute for yourself. I don't know when the last time you might have had a chance to think about your own definition of work or how you find meaning in the work that you do. But some things to kind of contemplate are what actually is work, or how do you define work? Why do you work? What is good work? What does money have to do with it? And this is a big, I think, point where we see students come in is the motivation for work is usually highly connected to finances, right? How am I going to survive? How am I going to make a living? And how am I going to increase or have a better life than maybe a previous generation or my parents had? So a lot of our students, when we're working with them, really come in with why work or purpose of work is related to make good living, right? Have a better living or make a good income upon graduation. But not everyone is motivated by those same extrinsic motivators like finances. Some people are also wanting to find meaning and purpose with their work. And so is that true for you? So what does meaning or purpose have to actually do with work? Are they aligned or not aligned for you? And so before we can actually get into the career development or planning process with students, we really are trying to ask questions or use assessments to find out themes and answers that might relate to these core questions. We may not ask the student directly like, so what does work mean to you? Or why do you think you need to work? But a lot of the exploration of interests and values and skills tries to get to the core of those motivators of what is going to make the most impact on how a student wants to design their future. And at the end of the day, we really think that it's based on values. So what is most important to you? What do you value? Just want to share some common student responses that we get when we ask these questions of them or kind of start investigating these areas. Most common is that students really say, I've never actually thought about this before. You know, I've been told that I should go to college because it's going to help me get a good job, but that's probably the extent of the time that I've actually thought about some of these things. Or we have other students that really say, you know, that's nice that you can think about that, but I just need a job right now. So what should I do? And if you can just tell me what to do, I will do it. So there's a lot of desire to have a very specific answer or path given to someone, when in reality, the answer actually lies within the person. So our jobs are to really figure out, can we give students the time they need to think about these things and help them go through this process? And that's the first step of career development, which we call self-assessment. And I'm gonna pass the baton over to Carrie because there is an actual career development model and theory around that we use to build some of these resources for students.
Yeah, so as Anita mentioned, as career counselors, we use what's called the career development model. So this looks at the stages of career development and career planning with our students and our clients. So in the Career Center, we use a model that focuses on 3 stages: explore, build, and launch. And today we're focusing on the explore stage of the career development model, in particular around self-assessment. So as Anita mentioned, self-assessment really focuses on helping a student explore their skills, their values, their personality style, their interests. And we have tools in the Career Center to help students go through the self-assessment process. And we're going to be showing you some of those today. And within the explore stage, after students learn about themselves through a self-assessment, they can then start to link who they are, again, what are their skills, their strengths, their values, to the world of work. And from there, start to explore career options, majors, career paths, and possibly maybe trends or occupations that they're interested in. Again, it links back to who they are after they complete the self-assessment. From there, they can start thinking about some initial or early career goals and career planning and some early phases of their career decision making. So at this stage, they're really asking those questions of who am I and where am I going? The next stage is really looking at build. So they've identified their career interests, their values, set some early career goals and started a career plan. And then it's really starting to think about, for students, how do I build the necessary skills to help me go forward with my career plan or reach my career goals? How do I develop those skills? How do I gain experience, maybe through volunteering or interning, working on the campus, part-time jobs, etc. So it's building skills, building experience. And then it's also developing a professional network, maybe doing informational interviewing, learning more about career options, about opportunities, and then participating in curricular and co-curricular activities, again, to continue building skills, building experience. And then following through with their plan, and then continue with their career decision-making. And then finally, the last stage is launch. So this is kind of like, how do I kick off or lift off in my career? So I know who I am, I know where I'm going, I've built some skills and built up experience. Now I'm getting ready to actually implement or launch my career. And this is where students are actively applying for opportunities like jobs or internships. They're building their professional brand through resumes, LinkedIn, maybe career portfolios, for example. They're more actively continuing to grow their professional network. And then they are also continuing or building on their employer relationships through attending maybe job fairs or recruiting events. And then they, at that point, would start to maybe reflect on their career development and then maybe revise their plan or their goals and then make some final career decisions. So this might be at the stage of a student who's close to graduating or graduating when they're ready to kind of kick off their career. And one note about this model, this is something that we all go through at different phases in our life. This isn't necessarily just a one-time process that students go through. We might all go through the career development model in this process at various stages through our lives. So you might at some point want to reassess who you are and reflect on where you're going in your career or your career path. You might think about, you want to build new skills, or you might think about returning to school, transitioning to a different career or a different path. And then maybe at a point relaunching or revisiting your brand or who you are, where you're going in career. So we like to think of this as an ongoing process that we all go through and revisit at different stages in our lives. So today we're really focusing on the self-assessment part of, or that explore piece of the career development model. So this is, again, where students are going to learn more about themselves and connect who they are to the world of work or career options, majors, etc. So what we look at is 4 key self-assessment areas. That's personality, interests, skills, and values. And we have self-assessment resources and tools through the Career Center that students can use to help them really dig a little deeper into who they are and connect that to career options and to the world of work. So first we look at personality, and we have some assessment tools available to students to help them learn about their personality style, the personality traits and characteristics. We offer the MBTI, which is probably the most well-known personality assessment, Myers-Briggs. This is available to students. This is one of our 3 assessments that actually has a fee, a small fee for students to take the Myers-Briggs. But we also offer Focus2, which has no fee and is available to students. And Anita will be showing a little bit about how to access Focus2. And through that self-assessment, students can learn more about their personality style and again, connect that to some career options. And we next really look at interests. So what are the students really most interested in terms of career, and also other interests? Could be leisure activities or hobbies, things that bring them joy and satisfaction in their interests. So we offer 2 tools or self-assessments for looking at interests. One is SSI, or the Strong Interest Inventory. Again, very well known, similar to MBTI, very in-depth tool that looks at interest profiles, connects interest to career options, also has a college version where students can look at majors as well as internships and courses they might take based on their interests. That is another fee-based assessment. But we do have Focus2 that also has an interest inventory, and both of these interest inventories use Holland code. So you might have heard of Holland. It's the realistic, investigative, social, artistic, etc. 6 Holland themes are very common. You might have heard of that before. Both of these tools take the Holland theme or the Holland theory and link up those interest themes to careers, world of work, majors, etc. And then finally, as Anita mentioned a little bit earlier, we spend time working with students around values. So we have a newly organized and put together values assessment tool that really helps students to think a little bit more about what are their career values, what are some of their core principles, what's most meaning to them. And so it's sort of an intersection of their personal values and their career values, and putting those together to help them think about what careers might be a good fit for them based on their values. And we also use the narrative approach with students to help them explore values. That might be in one-on-one career counseling, or could be through small groups. And finally, the other area that we look at in terms of self-assessment is skills and strengths. So this is helping students to prioritize their top skills, skills that they feel they're most interested in and competent at, and also helping students explore skills they like to develop, and strengths as well. So we have 2 tools available for that. So we have a skills inventory, again, a new tool that we've developed that helps students to prioritize their top skills, link those skills to career options, and explore majors. Then we also have an activity called skills gap analysis that helps students look at what are their current skills compared to skills they'd like to develop in careers or occupations that they're exploring. And then a third option is what's called Skill Scan, and this is a self-assessment that is also fee-based. It's very in-depth skills analysis that we newly started to use in the Career Center, and we recommend that tool in particular for graduate students or maybe alumni who maybe have a little bit more career experience, where they are going to prioritize skills, look at skill development, and connect those to the world of work and career options, maybe in the case of a student or alum who's maybe looking at a career transition. So those are our self-assessments that we offer in the Career Center. We're going to show you a little bit more what they look like and how to access them for your students.
Okay, so this is demo time. And just bear with me, I'm going to come out of our slides and then go directly to our website. And it's coming through. So this is our new and improved template, and we're going to go for the easiest access. I'm going to go straight to resources. So this is on the top tab here. And then this this menu that drops down here is just if you want quick links to a specific career app. So Focus2, if you just wanted to access this, if you clicked on it, it would directly take you or your student to the single sign-on page to access the assessment. But I'm going to click on resources so that you can get familiar with what this page looks like. We have our career planning guide. So if you're looking for something that helps give a student step-by-step instruction on what they should be doing at each phase of the developmental model, these are really good checklists. And for the sake of today, most of the information that we'll be sharing is under Explore Your Options, which is that first phase, Explore. And so we have a major and career exploration guide. I guess I will click into that first because I think it'll give you a good idea of what our guides look like. They all have the same format. But if you want to work with a student who has questions about how to best do the exploration process, this guide is really helpful. It breaks down what exploration is based on the career development model. This looks familiar. We just went over this. It'll actually tell them what the different assessment areas are, what are personality, interests, values, and skills. areas and how career assessment can be used, an explanation of all the assessments that we have. And this is where you can directly also launch into Focus2, our values assessment and our skills inventory. And then the last piece that I think is really helpful about this guide is that it will give you, if you want to make an assignment of students, giving them some of that time we talked about to discern some of this, you could actually use the assignment pages that will tell them exactly like the step-by-step process of what they should do. So first take the assessments, then do your research, explore your pathways, and when it's time to make some decisions or what do I do with this information, we actually have these grids that help students narrow down the amount of information and data that they're collecting so that they can have an easy way to make some decisions. So this is a great assignment for students if they are researching majors and you want them to kind of go through that research process and have some structure. This is great. If you have students who have already declared majors but don't know what to do with those majors, the second assignment is really helpful for that. And it will give you the step-by-step and then also the comparison grid for some decision making. So again, this is available to you. It's a great kind of all-in-one self-assessment packet almost. And since we're here, I might as well just use this to launch into Focus2. Carrie, is there anything else that you want to highlight about the guide that you think would be helpful, or?
There was a last section about career decision making. So after students go through the activities for exploring careers, exploring majors, we have a final section about career decision making. So stepping students through the process of how do they make career decisions or how do they finalize their decisions around their majors. So there's activity in there to step through students called the DECIDE model and step students through how to come to those decisions.
Thank you. That is very important. Yeah, the decision-making process can be sometimes the hardest piece because once they narrow it down to 3 options, then you have to pick one that can cause a lot of anxiety. So thanks for reminding me about that resource. This is, I had just clicked on Focus2 and it brings me to the single sign-on page. So any student can log in with their 9-digit tower card number and their password as they would to access anything from 1.sjsu. And it gives me the option to select as an administrator or student. So I'm going to click the student version for the demo. But I want all of you to know that if you wanted access to this assessment tool, you can actually have an administrator account as well. So if you assign, let's say, assessments to your class and you wanted students to be able to select you as their instructor when they log in to take the assessment, we can add you to the Focus2 administrator side, create a tag and cohort for you where your students can then, when they finish their results, you can actually track and see who's completed what assessment, as well as the results if you're wanting to use it as an assignment. So I'm going to use the student version, and this is what the assessment looks like. There are introductory quick assessments on kind of gauging where a student is at, right? So before they actually take the interest surveys or the personality surveys, this first one called My Career Planning Involvement really asks students some basic questions about if they've had any time to think about any of these career ideas or questions. So I'm not going to show the whole assessment, but basically it'll ask some very quick questions. It looks like almost like a Yelp review in the way that the questions are set up. So they're very easy for students to go through quickly, and then they kind of just click through like stars. 1 not necessarily having a lot of familiarity with the question being asked, and 5 being like a highest level. And so then this will give me results as to how career ready am I, as far as have I taken some time to think about my own interests, skills, things like that. Exploration, do I have any knowledge about career pathways already? And then career planning satisfaction is just, do I know how to find the answers or resources I need to make some career decisions? So mine are kind of high because I just kind of clicked through and already have some knowledge on this, but If you have students that score a 2 or below, it means they really need some intervention on this piece, probably right away. I typically tell students to not use this piece because if we're asking them to do assessment, we're already assuming that they need to do some of this work anyway. The Am I Career Ready is a great quick skills assessment if you just want to gauge if students have had any experience with the top transferable skills. So there are a listing of skills that employers state are most desired across all industries for entry-level positions, and that's put out by the National Association of Colleges and Employers. It's a professional association called NACE. And this basically asks students survey questions around these skill sets. And there are communication, global connectedness or fluency, leadership, teamwork, technology, critical thinking, management or leadership, and professionalism. And so once the student answers some of these questions about how comfortable are you doing X, Y, Z, and it'll give them some scenarios based on those skills, then they'll actually get the results, and it will tell them like if they're not developed enough in a certain skill area all the way to you're very highly developed. What I like about this as assessment is that it will also give them ideas of things that they can do as a student to build this skill set. So if I'm looking at developing my problem thinking skills or my critical thinking skills, I can select some of these things that I'm gonna try and do as in this next semester. So for myself, I just picked, I'm gonna participate in a research project, and I'm gonna try to participate in class discussions and debates. And I'm also gonna try to be more inquisitive and trying to seek out specific solutions to problems or testing them out. Some of these are like joining a club or asking questions in class. And so once I save those, it will take me to the next one and give me some ideas of what I can do. So this is a really good way to help students identify maybe some of those gaps and areas for growth, but then with very specific actions that they can take that are easy to do as a student to start building those skills. The self-assessment area, this is the work interest assessment, personality assessment, and leisure assessment. The work and leisure assessments are based on the Holland codes. So again, it takes about maybe 20 minutes to complete each assessment. So if you want them to do both work and personality, they would probably have to allow for 40 minutes to take the assessment, but the results are instantaneous and accessible to them as well as anyone they want to share it with. And so as you can see, it's really easy to kind of visually look through. It'll give you, this is based on the way I answered the survey questions, my top 3 Holland codes, a definition that's easy to read of what all of these Holland areas mean. And then this is the fun part. It will then give me my top occupation matches, the title of the occupation based on my interests, and the majors that we offer at San Jose State that are most closely aligned with this job title. So if I clicked on one of these things like history, it would actually take me back to what this means and then the different degree options we offer here at San Jose State, and then directly to our university page for that major. So it's great all in one. It also pulls in data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Occupational Outlook Handbook. So salary information as well as job, family, or industries. So if there's a theme here, like for me, a lot of these job titles seem to all be in media, entertainment, sports area. So if I'm not too sure about the job titles, I could easily maybe look more about the industry of arts and entertainment as a place to research further, and might have the more likelihood of finding some matches because there seems to be a theme there with my interest areas. So I won't show, the results of every single assessment because that could take, the entire hour, but all of these assessments kind of have the same results in the way that it looks on the outcome. The other thing that I just want to highlight is that there's another section called Explore the Possibilities. If your student is not sure what they can do with their major, this is a great tool of, what can I do with a specific major at SJSU? So all of these majors are tailored to what we offer at our school. I'm just going to click the first one for advertising, and it gives me a list of occupations that are most common for this major, as well as the salary. So if students are looking at their values are aligned with looking at how much income they can generate, this is an easy way to look at that very quickly. And then if they want to learn more about a particular occupation, they can click into it and there's a full profile. They can also save these occupations. So if the assignment is find your top 3 occupations and then share that with a reflection, once they save this, they can download it as a little report that they can share as a PDF. What's nice is it will also match their interest outcomes to that of the occupation. So I can see that I'm actually pretty aligned well with this one. I should probably be a graphic designer. But I have to also be aware of the areas where my interests don't match. Does not mean I can't pursue something if I don't have a high match of interest, but does mean that I should have a conversation with my career counselor as to how I can best navigate some of the challenges if I have to do tasks and duties that might not be my favorite. And then the last piece that I just want to show you is that students can actually have a portfolio of all of their work here. So this is something they should revisit over time. Maybe take your assessments first year, maybe doing them again their junior year to ensure that as things change based on experience, that they're still kind of on track with the type of different skills they want to build and preparedness for launching their career. So if you wanted to assign something where that you'd like to see all of their results in one, you can actually tell them, can you just send me your portfolio of your Am I Career Ready, your work interest survey, and your personality survey. They can click those, build their portfolio, and actually download this report. And it's actually really beautiful, because then you can see all of their results kind of like in an infographic. And you'll know right away in like one document what their interest areas are. They can even select the actual occupations if you want to drill down and see those, their personality outcomes. And that really, I think, can help with some of that advising, right? So they've done the work ahead of time and you can just review these results. So that's all that I want to share for Focus 2 right now. I'm going to stop sharing, and Carrie's going to show you the 2 other key assessment areas that are really important.
Okay. So we're going to go back into the Career Center website. I hope you can see that. And we were looking at back to the resources page, where Anita pointed out earlier, a quick way to find our career assessment tools, self-assessment. So if you scroll down to explore your options, and this is where Anita was just showing you the major and career exploration guide, and also we were just looking at Focus 2. So in addition to Focus 2, as I mentioned, we do have Myers-Briggs, the Strong Interest Inventory, and Skills Scan, which are fee-based assessments that we recommend to students that we're working with. You could also refer your students to us if you would like them to take the Myers-Briggs or the more in-depth Skills Scan, for example. Again, those are a nominal fee for students to take those assessments. But we also have, in addition to those and Focus 2, we have Values Assessment and a Skills Inventory. And these are, again, kind of newly developed tools that are San Jose State Career Center branded assessments. So the first I'd like to show you is our Values Assessment. So it's available here, and you could just open that up. And by the way, you as faculty or staff have access to these tools. So if you'd like to revisit your values or your skills, you're welcome to take these assessments as well. So here's our Values Assessment. And as we were mentioning earlier, values are a really important part of the self-assessment career exploration process. Helps students to really dig a little deeper into what's most meaningful to them, what are their core principles and values, and what is the connection between their personal values and their career values. And theory behind this is that we, students, all of us, tend to feel more rewarded and satisfied in our work if our values are aligned with our work and also with our employer. So this helps students to really think about what are my core values, what's most important to me, and then start thinking about careers that will allow them to express their values. So there's some instructions here and gives them some ways to think about what are my top values. And the values are divided up into theme areas. So we have work environment values, intrinsic values, work content, work relationship values. And with each of these value theme areas, there's a little definition here of what that means. So work environment values focus on working conditions, for example. So students would go through and indicate what is most important to them. So within each theme area, there's values and they indicate what's most important to them. If you download this into a PDF, this becomes a clickable document that they can save later if they'd like. So they go through each section, read about the value theme area, indicate what's most important to them. For example, achievement, belonging, independence, responsibility, personal safety, initiative, advocacy, analytical. So these are all values that they can indicate what's most important to them. They go through each section, and then it takes them to the final area where they're going to summarize their top values. So they would go back through, they'd review each of these where they indicated a 4. They would review that and decide which values are really most important or which are core, again, to what's most important to me. And they would indicate those here on the worksheet. So they would list the value here. There's an example, the value area. So is it an intrinsic value, a work relationship value? And then they would describe why that value is meaning to them. Why is it meaningful to them? So they write a little description there. So they pick their top 10, the value area, and then why is it meaningful? And at the bottom, it has some summary questions to help them think a little bit more about what are their top value theme areas, how are their values being reflected in their life now, maybe through school or work or internships, why are those values important to you in your current situation, and are anything you can do right now to improve your level of satisfaction? So through a job or internship, what can you do to incorporate or bring in those top values? So I have been in the field of career development and counseling for many years, and what I've really found is that values are one of the most important elements of helping a student or a client find satisfaction and reward in their work and feeling like they're able to express who they are. So we really encourage students to take some time thinking about values. And again, we encourage you to take a moment, if you'd like, to use this values tool and take a little time to sort of explore where you are with your values in our assessment tool. So that's, again, right available on our website. And it's also within the major and correct selection guide that Nita was showing you a little bit earlier. And then also we have a new skills assessment tool. And these are our newly branded Career Center assessments. So this is our skills inventory. So in addition to what Anita showed you in Focus2 around looking at, am I career ready in terms of values, in terms of skills and competencies, you can also have students look at a way to prioritize their top skills. So here's some instructions, just like the values tool. We have definitions of different types of skills like transferable, knowledge-based, personal attribute skills, and instructions of here how they can use the skill inventory. And these are divided up into the same skill theme categories that were also in Focus2. So critical thinking, leadership, teamwork, communication, etc. So students would go through and read the theme area similar to the values and indicate what skills they feel that they are competent or most interested in using with little definitions. So they would go through the theme areas first and then go back into each theme area and identify their top skills within those themes. So do they like using questioning, synthesizing, strategic planning, managing, active listening, presenting, interpersonal skills, and they indicate again what they feel most competent in and what they would like to use or interested in using within the theme areas. So similar to the other values tool, once they go through that process, then they would come down, they can add in additional skills, like maybe there's other skills that they feel competent in or they're interested in using, they enjoy using, they can list them here. And then they can go on and to pick out their top theme category skills and their top individual skills and list them here. So top 5 theme categories, top individual skills listed here. And then another really important area that we have in this skills inventory is having them think about what skills they'd like to develop or what are areas of growth for them. So they could go back through the assessment and identify what are some top skills I'd like to develop. I'd like to have more experience and like to know more about. So they can list those here. And then finally, we have 2 areas where they can do some reflective questions about how they're using their skills, how they're demonstrating their skills currently, what are some new skills they'd like to develop, why would they like to develop those skills, and what opportunities out there to help them build and develop those skills. And then finally, the last part of the assessment is a next step. So they can look at their top skills, the top skill categories, and do some research into what careers or internships out there allow me the opportunity to use my top skills. So they can use Focus2, ONET, contacting their career center counselor, for example, and really explore the connection between what are those top skills and what are the careers or occupations or internships that they can use those skills or develop those skills. And at the very bottom, we have links to some of our other resources. We have a build experience action plan where they can think about ways to build skills and experience each year they are a student at San Jose State. And then we have the guide that Anita already showed you, the major career exploration guide. They can link in there to do some of those other activities. And finally, we have our resume cover letter guide and job and internship search guide where they can think about how to incorporate their skills into their branding, their resume, their LinkedIn profile, for example. So those are our 2 newly developed assessment tools, one around values, one around skills. I'm really excited to have those available to students and also to faculty and staff if you're interested in exploring those as well. And I will stop sharing. And we will go back into the final areas we'd want to highlight today in our overview of self-assessment and exploration tools.
Okay, thanks, Carrie. It's pretty exciting actually to have those 2 new assessments available because it's been hard to find. It's always challenging to find one assessment system that includes everything that we think students should be doing. So usually you'll see that there's sometimes having to piecemeal different assessments together. And so being able to have our own set that we were creating in-house is a great resource because we also can have students do them at no cost, right? So we don't have to actually have them pay for an additional values assessment or skills assessment. So the next phase of this is actually our chat. So I'm going to stop recording so we can have some Q&A, but I do want to encourage you to stay connected. So here is just a highlight of some of the key website resources we went over today. Our educators page, there's a whole page that has everything that educators need. So again, from our Career Center website, there at the top tab, it actually says educators and you click on that. I also would encourage you, if you are interested in getting updates via email, to subscribe to our blog. We have a blog just for faculty and staff, and it's just blogs.sjsu.edu/career center. We only post once a month, so I promise we will not bombard your email with lots of updates, but really it's more focused on providing any new resources that are helpful for your work with students, as well as trends, economic trends. So, how are we looking at different strategies to help students during COVID-19 or with the decrease in, economic opportunities, or, what are the top skills globally for students? So those are the types of things we'll put in that blog. You can find your career counselor if you'd like to have your students connect with their own career counselor and liaison to your college under our About Us. I like highlighting that because you can actually see the picture of your career counselor, so you have an idea of who they are. And then last but not least, if you have any questions for us or ideas of how we can best support and partner with you, you can email me or Carrie directly, and we'd be happy to either give you some more information or connect you with the assessments if you had further questions.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we want to thank you, and we look forward to connecting with you at our next chat.